Hey guys, Colleen here, DIYer behind lemon-thistle.com, and today I'm excited to talk about open shelving in the kitchen and how to style it. So that it, number one, is super functional and you're not wasting space in your kitchen, but number two, it's also really pretty. This is something that we've had in this kitchen and in our last kitchen. Our last kitchen we renovated top to bottom as well, but we did it with IKEA, and we just had a small set of open shelving about this big. That was to keep sight lines open because it was a pretty small kitchen, and we fell in love with it. Like, we really loved it. So I am in love with open shelving in the kitchen, but every time that I share my kitchen or I share something, somebody says, oh, I love it, but I could never actually have open shelving. I have too much stuff. Or, oh, my open shelves would just look so cluttered. And maybe they would, but maybe they wouldn't. So I want to talk about how I use our open shelving to maximize storage, make it totally functional, but also make it beautiful, and some of the things that I like to play with when I go to style open shelving. Before we get started, if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please make sure to do that below so you don't miss out on any more DIY or home decor videos. All right, a couple things that you should know about our family before we dive in. There are 6 of us. We have 4 kids. And we host a lot. There's a lot of people in this house a lot of the time. So I know a lot of the tips out there are to only put like 4 of everything on your shelf and keep everything tucked away in the cabinets, and I don't do that, and there's a couple reasons. The first reason is we use all of this. Like, we go through it. These shelves will get emptied by the end of a busy night, then they'll get filled back up after the dishwasher runs. Like, we use a lot of dishes because we have a lot of people in this house. Number 2, I feel like I'm trying to maximize storage. I don't want to have dishes here and dishes there because number 1, that's confusing to put away, but also number 2, like, what are my shelves for if I can't put my dishes on them? So I know that's a little bit different than what other people might say, but that's what I do, and that's what works really well for us.
All right, before you do anything else, empty your shelves so you're starting with a really clean slate. And then pull together everything that you want to see on that shelf, everything that you're considering, and it might not all make the cut, but it's really handy to have it all there, ready to go.
The first thing that we did when we got open shelves in the last house is we went to IKEA and we bought matching dishware. I am a big fan of simple and clean and not a lot of clutter, so we just picked up some white dishware. It was IKEA, it was super affordable. After, how long were we there? Like 5 years? We had broken a lot of plates and a lot of dishes, so we were excited when we got into this new kitchen. We partnered with Kitchen Stuff Plus and we got all new dishes. So the first thing that I like to do is figure out what I need on that shelf. And what I need on that shelf, what is convenient on that shelf, what I use all the time. I love that I don't have to open a cupboard door to get my plates and to put away the dishes. So in our last house, that meant our plates, like big plates, small plates, bowls, and we really like the soup bowls or the pasta bowls. We use them for pasta. So those 4 had to go up there. And beyond that, I just decorated because that was a really full shelf to start with, being so small. So the first thing that I did is I pulled out all my dishes. These are the dishes that need to go up here. And because we have bigger shelves, I also wanted to be able to get glasses up here. So yeah, my first tip is function first. To me, that is the whole point of open shelving, is to make it easy to get to your stuff. It is storage. You're not losing cabinet space. You're just opening it up. So first of all, I would get all of your functional things up there. When you're doing this, my second tip is to pay attention to balance. So you don't want to put all your dishes on one side and then all your clear stuff on another side, and you don't want to put all your heavy stuff on one side and all your really light kind of decorative stuff on one side. So I like to kind of alternate it back and forth and pay attention to height to really get a balanced look. So I'm going to start with the dishes. Okay, I'm gonna pause here. So one thing that I really like to do when I'm doing open shelving is to work in sections. So to divide my shelf or my dresser, even if I'm styling a dresser, into different sections. So how many different sections can you fit without looking crowded, and how many do you need? So in this case, I started with 3, and this is what I did when I first styled these shelves, and it's functional. It fits the things that we need to fit up here, but it's pretty boring. So I thought, how can I fit some decorative stuff in here? So I spaced it a little bit tighter. So even though I could make this tighter over here, then it kind of looks off kilter. So I like to stick to my sections. So now I have 4 sections. One of the challenges with open shelving with the lights above is you're not only trying to style your shelves, also trying to not make your lights look super giant in my case. So I needed to choose things that were not super tall here, but I also didn't want to make it look like I was putting like nothing there because these lights are too big. So that's why I chose to go for the smaller plates here. And then I thought this looked too flat, so I'm gonna switch it around. But once we have all of our functional stuff up there, it's time to start adding the fun stuff up there. So a couple things that I like to do. I like to add height, I like to add texture, and I like to add color. Now, I don't actually like color in my house very much. I like black and white and green plants and cabinets. So for me, my color is black because I have a very simple, clean palette of white and clear glass, and I want to add something to add a little bit of punch. So because I also want to pay attention to height, I'm finding that this is really flat and boring. So instead of leaving them like this, we actually stack our glasses too high for those ones. This allows us to fit more up there because again, we use them, and it also looks nicer, I think. Okay, so you could go ahead and you could keep adding stuff up there that your kitchen needs for storage. So some other things might be wine glasses. These would look really pretty up here too, but that doesn't add the black punch that I was hoping to have. So instead of doing this, I'm gonna add some decorations. One of the things that bugs me in kitchen shelving, and I'm not an expert, guys, like this is just my house, but I really don't like when things are on shelves that don't look like they should be there just for decoration. So I love art. Art goes anywhere. You could put art in a bathroom shelf, you could put art in a kitchen shelf, but you don't burn candles on a shelf when it's gonna light this on fire. To me, I just wouldn't put that up there. I also probably wouldn't put a diffuser here because again, it's gonna like hit this and damage the shelves. There's just some things that I feel like it's not functional. Why would you put it there? But whatever looks good to you, I feel like that's what's exciting. So I like to stick to things that primarily go in the kitchen when I'm styling kitchen shelves. So cookbooks are really good. You'll want to look for pretty ones, or you could even pick out the ones that you use the most often. Like if these shelves ran into a wall, you could lean cookbooks up against the wall, and that would be really easy to grab when you're cooking and really functional and pretty. Other kitchen type things that are pretty, I have this coffee pot that I like to use. I've got a teapot that I hardly ever use. You can put a water jug. I mean, this has the darker colors, so it would kind of work up there. There's another jug. This one I mostly use for flowers, but it's easy to grab if it's up there. I know lots of people that use canisters full of, like you could put grains in here. I just have one with tea bags. I thought, for example, I just throw it up here. And then I also really love my pestle and mortar and pestle, is that what it's called? Pestle and mortar, because it's really pretty. I don't use it all that often, but it's a kitchen item and it's beautiful, and I feel like it deserves to be displayed. Okay, so you can see it's pretty quickly getting crowded up there. It's pretty quickly looking a little bit cluttered. So I'm going to edit a little bit. If you wanted to fit more on, you could totally stack. So I have stacked with these cups right here, but I've also seen when people take their bowls, for example, and stack them on their plates. This looks totally pretty, but it's really inconvenient to grab the plate. And for me, this is all about ease. Like I want to be able to carry a baby on my hip and put away my dishes. So that's not an option for me. If this is kind of where you're feeling frustrated, the more stuff you put on, the more cluttered it looks, but then when you take it off, it doesn't look great, I would recommend starting with nothing on your shelves again. Like, take it all off and start from scratch. And then be really, really picky about what you put on there. Only put things back on that are totally functional and that you love having up there. So I'm gonna go ahead and take off the things that I don't want up there. Okay, so my goal with the rest of the shelving is to just make it look good. So I want to add pops of black, I want to add some texture, I want to add some living plants. I love plants on open shelving, and I also want to add some height. Okay, so here's one option that would totally work. I've got some taller items on the top. I've got it kind of alternating between the white and the clear and the pops of black. I've added some texture with this vase. I've added some live plants and some texture with the pots and stone here. I am really happy with this. I would totally leave it like this, but I'm also really happy with how I had it, so I'm gonna put it back before this video is over. But the other thing that you could add is some art. I know some people really love to have art on shelves and in the kitchen, and that's just not something that I'm great at. I have a really hard time picking art that I love, and I usually end up making it, and I haven't made anything for these shelves, so just know that that's an option. Ooh, you know who does that really well is Emily Henderson. I'll link to her site below, but so good, and puts art all over the place wonderfully. All right, I'm gonna move things back around. This plant baby actually goes on my nightstand, so I just don't want to let him stay here. Okay, so this is how I had it before. Now that I've stitched it up, I feel like I want to stitch it up again, but not today. One thing that I wanted to point out in here, which is a little bit weird, is this rock here. This is one of the many, many rocks that my son has collected for us, and he loves to have them as decorations. He loves to have them as a collection. So there are tons of rocks in my home decor because I love to make him happy, and they're pretty. They add texture, so that's a weird one though. I don't necessarily recommend putting rocks on your shelf. All right, so that was all over the place. I hope that that was helpful for you. And above all else, I mean, these aren't real rules. This is just stuff that I have found helpful, but don't be afraid to break rules because it is your home, it's your kitchen, it's how you live. So if it's super functional for you to have 1 million coffee mugs on the shelf because you collect them, put 1 million coffee mugs on the shelf. If you have 10 dishes and they get used every day because you have so many people in your house all the time, put 10 dishes on the shelf, and don't let somebody tell you to only put 4 on the shelf and put them away in a cupboard. If you have really limited cupboard space and you need to make the most of this open shelving, by all means, pack as much stuff on there as you can, and then use these tips to kind of edit it and move it around and make it look amazing while also being functional. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more DIY or home decor videos. If you guys have anything else that you're curious about this kitchen or about our house, I would love to do more of these kind of tips videos. So that was a really aggressive air quotes. I would love to do more of these tips videos. So drop it in the comments and I'll see if I can get it on my calendar. We'll see you guys later.